Hello everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Alasdair, and 8 feet to my left is the amazing Marguerite.
Hi everybody. That's right, we have 2 cameras tonight. Hopefully all of this is working. So if you're having any issues with audio or any of the cameras, just let us know in the chat. Just a heads up.
Jordan.
Are we talking to folks?
Yeah.
Just a heads up that we are going to be switching between single and multiple cameras throughout the night. Nothing should cause vertigo, but just so you're aware, there is going to be a little scene switching that's going to go on throughout the evening. And with that, I'm going to throw you back over to Alasdair.
Nothing too serious though, don't worry about it. First off, welcome. There's folks here from all over the place. There's our usual audience, there's the Rusty Quill audience as well, and I know there's some crossover there, and we've got some EA people and some friends of EA, and some folks from the Isle of Man, and some folks from New York, and some folks from America. Hi, you are all welcome. This is basically the show we do on Wednesday nights. And it's broken into 3 parts. There is an opening monologue. Picture that as basically you showing up at the cinema. Remember the cinema? We'll be back there one day. And getting your seat and getting popcorn and all that stuff while the trailers are on. Those are the trailers. That's the chance for you to get situated, get hydrated, make sure your pet's fed, you're in a good place, meds taken, all that. Then we'll do the story. Then we'll do what we refer to as not just shenanigans, but Alex approved shenanigans. We have the stamp. We have proof. We have the screen grab. Oh, yes. And then we'll wrap up. I'm seeing a little note that my mic is a little quiet.
That's right, everybody. Alasdair is in fact on a room mic. He's coming in green 5x5 for us. I'm probably a little bit louder because I'm on a headset mic. If you need to pull it a little bit closer to you, honey, go ahead. Don't eat it. Do not eat the microphone.
I like the mic. No, I will not do that. Jay Adams, don't worry about it. Get him. We've got plenty of time. It's all good. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. An introduction, the story, a couple of little pieces of shenanigans. We'll also have a couple of things for you ahead of time, not least of which is a content warning. This story has warnings for swearing, suicide, gun violence, descriptions of death and injury. And I will tell you a little bit more about the story after we do the opening monologue. This is normally selected just as something that has made me laugh or will make me laugh in public across the course of the week. Very, very often, this is written by the fantastic author Nick Crowley.
And this week is no exception.
This week is no exception.
We do, in fact, have another wonderful Nate Crowley. What's his last name? Remind me?
Nathan Crowley.
It is Crowley. Because I always call him
Froggy,
and I really should learn to stop.
Wendy, a voluntary Alasdair corpse count would be extremely useful. Thank you.
Are you ready to start the opening monologue?
Yes.
Okay.
We made the I'm still getting used to the transition.
It's okay. There's visual aids on this one, so you may go now. You may proceed, sir.
We made the definitive size chart for Resident Evil Village's Lady Dimitrescu, with the sub-byline, pick up a penguin, and then annihilate it with your scary claw hand. Since the release of teaser footage for Resident Evil Village last month, it's fair to say that there has been a lot of chat online about Lady Dimitrescu, the utterly gigantic villain of the piece. She has captured quite a few imaginations, it would seem, and speculation has been rife regarding just how vast the millinaried monstress actually is. Yesterday, the discussion was settled for good by the Resident Evil Twitter account, which posted a statement from Village's art director, Tomonori Takano, confirming Dimitrescu's height as 9 feet 6. That is very tall indeed. Admittedly, the figure includes her hat and high heels, but even wearing flats, she'd top 9 foot. The question remains, however, what else would she top? No, not like that, you wretches. What I mean to say is that I've made a comparison chart featuring Dimitrescu and a selection of other vast creatures, both real and imagined. Come, see. Key 1. T00, aka Mr. X, Resident Evil 2, 7 feet 11 inches tall. The Resident Evil games have always been big on big villains, with the Tyrant series of bioweapons being monsters in chief for much of the series. This fella, from Resi 2, also wore a hat, but it was not as fancy as Lady D's. 2. Short-faced bear. Extinct animal, 12 feet, standing. The giant short-faced bear, Arctodus simus, was one of the largest land carnivores ever to live, and lived in North America during the Pleistocene, where it survived until as recently as 11,000 years ago. It would have stood 12 feet 4 inches in heels, but it did not have the sophistication to wear a hat.
Is that like 3 corpses already, I think?
I think so.
I haven't been keeping track. I rely on Wendy for this.
Hecate and Cassandra, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Fate of Atlantis. 8'3" and 5 feet 11. I do not understand Assassin's Creed metaplot lore, but in Odyssey it turns out the Greek gods were actually really tall aliens. Hecate is one of Alice B's favourite enormous women, and she wrote a brilliant post about her and her huge mates, which we'll link into in the show notes. 4. Robert Pershing Wadlow, tallest recorded human, 8 feet 11 inches tall. Hailing from the state of Missouri, Robert Wadlow was the tallest human in recorded history due to hypertrophy of his pituitary gland. Tragically, complications from this condition would lead to his death in 1940 at just 22 years of age. Even with his thin frame, he weighed 200 kilograms at the time of his death, which is as much as a very serious wrestler might weigh. Looking at Dimitrescu's decidedly more robust proportions, it's not unreasonable to suspect she might be approaching half a metric ton in mass. 5.
Rude. Why do they go into mass? Leave mass out of it. What's mass got to do with it?
We're still getting reports of slightly echoey.
Should I try a little experiment real
Very
quick?
quiet, apparently.
Hold on.
Hello, folks. Technical adjustment incoming. How am I coming across now? And don't worry about the trigger and content warnings, they'll be repeated before the story begins. Combo Switch is saying that's made no change. About the same, exactly the same, yeah.
Okay. Give that a shot.
How about this? Because, I mean, I quite like the idea of sounding like I'm talking over the cockpit mic, but, you know. Same. This is so weird. It's exactly the same microphone, and we've changed no settings.
How's that?
Dad's replied is saying it sounds like it's coming through yours.
Mine's off.
This is the only active mic in the room right now, folks.
Give me a second, everybody. We're gonna try. How about this? Well, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna have you stay in here while we adjust this and see if we can make that a little bit better for him.
Okay. How are we sounding? Still much the same? You are apparently sounding better than I am, despite your microphone being off and you being 8 feet away from it.
Hang on a second.
This is a stupid question, but is my desk mic on?
No, your desk mic isn't even plugged in. Now my microphone is on, but I've had it off the whole entire rest of the time.
Okay.
Interesting.
So we're still coming across as echoey. Jack, she said whatever you were messing with over by Marguerite's desk sounded like the right mic.
I'm going to try one more experiment. Hang on a second, folks. We're going to go to a technical screen for a minute.
I've also got a note from Annie Ruby saying the stream can go on like this. You are audible. It's just not ideal.
We're going to go to a tech screen, folks. I'll be right back. How's that now, everybody?
So how am I sounding now? And again, this is the only mic with power on it in the room right now.
Testing.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, we're good.
Vamp, my love. Vamp. Keep
You're going to
talking.
make me Vogue on camera, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I could.
I say Vogue.
How is his volume now, folks? Is that sounding better?
I'm getting a string of "That's it, we've got it."
All right. Okay.
What was that for future reference?
I don't know. I think it had defaulted to the microphone coming from your camera as opposed to the microphone directly in front of your face.
Okay. So here's the thing which, you learn after a while on Twitch, folks, which is that basically there is no coding. It is just a box of demons, and you have to negotiate with them every time.
Well, aren't you lucky I'm a lawyer?
Yes.
All right.
By so many things.
Okay, there's a request for you to Vogue. Do you want to Vogue? Turn your head. There you go. Shall we go back to the opening?
For the big dog.
Okay, shall we go back to the opening monologue?
Yeah, I mean, do people want me to restart, or are we just going to pick up from the next module?
I think we just pick up from the next module. Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks.
Alrighty. 5. The 50-foot woman. Attack of the 50-foot woman. 50 feet. I confess, I have not watched this 1958 B-movie, but I gather the woman who features as its antagonist was some 50 feet tall. Alison Hayes, who played the 50-foot woman, was 5'6". Alcina Dimitrescu and Ethan Winters, Resident Evil Village, 9'6" and 5'11". At this point, they need little introduction. Poor old Ethan, even his silhouette looks defeated. An emperor penguin, 3 king penguins stacked on top of each other, and Danny DeVito as the penguin, holding a 48-pack of Marguerite's penguin bars.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to read that one again.
An emperor penguin, 3 king penguins stacked on top of each other, and Danny DeVito as the penguin, holding a 48-pack of McVitie's penguin bars. Batman Returns, apart from the biscuits.
Maximum penguin.
4'10", 9 feet 10 inches. McVitie's penguin bars, a popular British snack-time treat, did not feature in the movie Batman Returns. Also, emperor penguins are way, way bigger than you probably thought they were. A ostrich, the dream of Nicholas in the Hall of William the Beast. Oh, that's a nice obtuse callback. 9 feet 3, the largest living bird, the ostrich could probably just about stare down Lady D if it was a really big specimen. But let's face it, she could eat its head like an ornery crisp. In the bird world, only the king penguins stand a chance here, and only then by cheating. Rexy, Jurassic Park series, 17 feet at the head. Of course.
Which number is that? Because I think the key has numbers. Yeah, number 9. Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. Of course, birds used to be a lot bigger than they are now because they used to be dinosaurs. Although not the largest carnivorous dinosaur, T-Rex is by far the most famous, and the world's most well-known T-Rex in pop culture is surely Rexy, off of the Rassie P movies. She's a pretty gigantic lady. I reckon Dimitrescu could probably ride about on her as if she was a colossal murder pony too. Bowsette, from the internet's fevered Gestalt consciousness. This is number 10, between 5'10" and 5'11". I made the mistake of asking Twitter if there was an established consensus on the height of Bowsette, the last game-adjacent giant to send the internet into comparable fits of thirst to Dimitrescu. I received many, many answers, and so have displayed Bowsette's range of potential heights. And there we go, folks. That is the wit and wisdom of Mr. Nathan Crowley. Right then.
Thank you so much for all the gift subs, Jordan, as well.
Thank you for the gift subs, and thank you for the patience with the technical issue, folks. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for the technical troubleshooting. I'm glad we got through all of that before the story. Fantastic.
All right. What we're doing tonight is a story called The Dionaea House, and it has a really interesting history that we will get into in more detail once we're done with it. But the stuff that you need to know up front is this is arguably the platonic example of a particular type of horror called Creepypasta. Creepypasta is internet campfire stories. It's stories which exploit the distribution systems of the internet itself to blur the line between fact and fiction, and to blur the line, I find, putting my English literature head on, between the story as storytelling tool and the environment as storytelling tool. They are often awful, and more often brilliant.
You want to give us some examples of other creepypastas?
Yeah, two or three really, really good ones. We've done, over on the EA Twitch stream, the entirety of Kerry Hammond's superb Search and Rescue series, which are a series of, I think, maybe 30 vignettes, all told as blog posts from a search and rescue worker in an unnamed American national park, about the gradual and persistent incursion into those national parks of something.
Yep. Slender Man is another really good example of a creepypasta.
Slender Man is the perfect example of creepypasta.
Siren Head, Mothman.
I would argue Mothman might be the trailhead. Mothman
I think
be the first
so.
one.
I think certainly from a contemporary perspective, it's probably the first one that captured popular opinion, especially because of the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
In
someone's
your
made the point that Mothman is more of a cryptid. Yeah, I'd agree, and I'd also say there's some really interesting material kind of nested in the boundary line between cryptids and creepypasta.
That's a really good example, Cucumber. I think the man with the car hood hook door, that one, that's probably one of the oldest ones, and it's probably the one that blurs the line most between a campfire story and a creepypasta. So
Who was phone?
Yeah, you go from campfire story to man with a hook on the door to Mothman to search and rescue to the Dionaea house.
Indeed.
You're welcome for the setup.
Thank you.
Take it home.
Someone in the chat has just said Mothman has a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The Mothman Prophecies is very, very good. Stars Richard Gere and Laura Linney, and is one of the only movies to have ever terrified me.
He can't watch it during the night. He has to watch it during the day.
And there is a scene in it, and you will know the scene when you get to it, which is
in your shoe, under the bed.
When you get the context for that, oh dear God.
It will scare the pants off of you. It will.
The only other thing you need to know before we jump into the Dionaea house is a little bit of pedigree about who wrote it. Mm-hmm. This is by Eric Heiserer, which is a name that you will not have encountered before, chances are, but whose work I'm pretty convinced you will have encountered before. Yep. He adapted Arrival.
Yeah, he adapted the Ted Chiang short story that became the movie Arrival.
And has been very active in the horror field prior to and after that. And I've got some interesting notes for you, basically a watch list. So if you want to, you can go back and read a good chunk of, or watch a good chunk of his stuff. And we'll also talk a little bit after this about the other parts of the Dionaea house, because this is not the only story set there.
Yeah. So just a reminder about the content warnings before we get started, and so Alasdair can take a dramatic sip of tea. This story has content warnings for swearing, suicide, gun violence, and there are descriptions of death and injury. It's not a particularly graphic story, but it is quite arresting, so please do what you need to do with content warnings. Also, before we get started, don't forget, check if you've taken any medications, fed your pet, that you have something snuggly to cuddle if you think that might be of help. Get a snack, get a drink, #StreamMom, that's what I'm here for. And then we'll go ahead and get settled in and get ready for the story. Sound good?
Right.
All right, give me just a moment. I'm going to set the scene.
Okay. The Dionaea house. Story 1.
Hold on. Is your mic on okay?
I haven't touched it.
Oh, all right. Fine. Perfect. Okay, great.
Apparently the mic is redefaulted.
Okay. Hang on, everybody. I think we have a slight technical issue. Glad we figured this one out before we started as well. Oh my gosh, what a difficult thing this is today. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that should have moved me back across to the good mic.
You'll probably be getting a little bit of an echo effect, but now you should be fine.
And apparently I'm back. Great. I'm really sorry, folks. We have no idea why that's happening. We'll keep a weather eye on the chat. If it defaults again, we'll look under the hood. The Dionaea House. Story 1. Correspondence from Mark Condry. 6th September to 1st October 2004. 10/7/2004. Jennifer, friends and family of Mark. As promised, here are copies of the correspondence I received from Mark over the course of the last month. For the most part, I have merely copied and pasted them from my email application. As you'll read, he requested this in hopes that you will better understand why he did what he did. I made this site because it is the most efficient way to share Mark's emails with all of you. I'm not advertising this to anyone, but I do think it would be wise to pass this URL along to anyone who may help with the investigation. As I collect more information from various sources, I will update this site to keep it an accurate record. I'll have that link at the end of the series as well. If you need to speak with me, Jen has my number. Thank you for your patience, and again, I am so profoundly sorry. Eric. From Mark Condry, Monday, September 6th, 2004, 8:17 a.m. Subject, an old friend. Eric, hey man, it's Mark from Houston. The Saturday Night Gang? Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? I found your email from your website. Looks like you're out in LA now. Cool. Cool, I remember telling you should be out there doing the California thing. You still with Connie? I'm in Dallas now. I met someone who works in my building. We've been seeing each other for 2 years. Listen, the reason I'm writing to you out of the blue is because I got this newspaper article in the mail. Maybe you got one too. It's about Andrew. You remember Drew? Travis would pick him up most of the time. Messy hair, sort of the fanboy type. I didn't remember his last name until I got this thing, and now it's really disturbing me. Do you know what happened? Did you hear about it already? Look, let me know if you have some time to talk, yeah? I can call you, or you can call me if that works better. I'm going to see if I can track down Travis and Dave. A quick search didn't seem to turn up any leads, but maybe they just don't have any websites. If you still talk to either of them, please let me know. Thanks. Mark. From Condry, Mark. Date Wednesday, September 8th, 2004, 7:44 a.m. Subject, an old friend. Eric, thanks for quick reply. Didn't mean to sound cryptic in my first email. I'm just reluctant, I guess. I hadn't really seen or thought about Andrew since he stopped showing up for game night, and that was 5 years ago. That was about the time we all went our own ways back in 1999. You moved out west, I moved up to Dallas, so when I got this article in my mailbox, it kind of caught me by surprise. And yeah, I'll transcribe this thing for you. I wasn't sure if maybe you were the one who sent it to me. I'll put it into this email at the bottom.
I remember him. He was never the kid with the idea. He was the kid who agreed with yours. Slowest to get the joke, usually laughed the longest.
That's Andrew in a nutshell, yeah. At least that's how I remember him. He got on my nerves sometimes, but damn if he didn't love being part of the gang. He'd ask me for some poker chips on card night, or borrow dice from my bag, that sort of thing. Whenever we played Tecmo Bowl on your Nintendo, he always wanted to be on my team. Which would have been fine if he was any good.
I haven't heard from Travis or Dave in years. They fell off the radar about the same time you did. None of us made much attempt to stay in touch. It was just one of those things.
That's okay. I wasn't trying to point fingers. It happens. But I was hoping you had already heard about Andrew, like you'd gotten a copy of the article. I still haven't been able to get a number or email for Travis or Dave. Maybe they know more about this than we do. Andrew usually hitched a ride with Travis most of the time. It was on the way home for him. Did Andrew live with his mom? Like in an apartment? And his stepdad was a real estate broker. Had that one house way out past Highway 6. You remember that? Andrew was scared to death of that house. Anyway, here's the article. There's a photo of Andrew with it. Looks maybe like his driver's license photo. Still had messy hair.
Gunman shoots 2, kills self in Boise restaurant. Diners at the Roadside Breakfast Cafe on Interstate 84 fled to the parking lot in a panic yesterday afternoon when a man entered and began shooting patrons inside, killing 2. The couple, John and Lucy Madsen, were having lunch when 26-year-old Andrew Hughes entered wielding a Smith & Wesson .59 pistol, according to police. Witnesses claim the perpetrator was muttering to himself as he approached the smoking section and opened fire onto the first occupied booth, fatally wounding the Madsens. Soon after, he turned the weapon on himself. All 3 were taken by paramedics to St. Alphonse Regional Medical Center, where John Madsen and the shooter were pronounced dead. Lucy Madsen, 37, remained in critical condition for several hours, but did not survive the night. Police are investigating Hughes's work and personal background, but as of this morning, a motive for the attack is unknown.
If there's more to the article, I didn't get it. That's where it was torn off. The other side is part of a Dillard's ad. This is really bothering me, Eric. What the hell was Drew doing in Boise with a fucking gun? He hung out with us for almost 2 years. I don't get it. And something else is eating at me. Can't figure it out yet. Mark. From Condry Mark. Date Thursday, September 9th, 2004. 2 p.m. Subject. Andrew. Hey, I know how you feel. It's hard not to think of the times he sat next to us at the table, smiling like a fool, rolling dice, moving his pieces around the board. He loved Monopoly night. Always wagged his tongue when he counted money. Don't think he realised he did that. It's impossible to think of him shooting up a diner.
There's no return address on the envelope?
No, but the postmark is Idaho, not California or Texas.
Not sure if you've already considered this, but it's possible the whole thing is a fake. Some sick practical joke made to mess with your head. You can get newsprint for...
Yeah, I've considered it. I didn't tell you this earlier, but I called up St. Alphonsus and asked if they'd had a patient named Andrew Hughes admitted in the last month. They had no record of him, so I asked if it would show if he'd been pronounced DOA, and I got transferred to ER where they kept paramedic records and info on all DOAs. They have him listed. He showed up on August 28th, died of a gunshot wound to the head, pronounced dead by ER resident 3:14 p.m. I asked it for some contact info, like a phone or address, where he might have been living, and I got brushed off. I got told to call the police for that stuff. The hospital wouldn't give out any personal info, at least not without some signatures. I haven't called the police yet. Probably the next step. Glad to hear you and Connie are going strong. Sorry to dump all of this on you. I just didn't know who else would care to listen. Look, I'll write if anything comes of this, okay? At this point, I'm thinking maybe Drew's mom sent it to me. Maybe Drew kept track of me when I moved to Dallas and had my address. I'm listed in the book. That would explain the logistics part. I'm overthinking things. Take care, Mark. From Condry Mark. Date Friday, September 10th, 2004, 3:11 a.m. Subject, thoughts and concerns. Hey again. I know it's late or early, depending on how you look at it, but this Andrew thing won't go away. I finally realised what's eating at me, and I need to spit it out. Do you remember what went on just before Andrew stopped showing up for game nights at your place? I do. He was gone for 2 weeks because he had to house sit for his stepdad. Mom and stepdad went on a big vacation every summer, like 10 days, and Andrew was just expected to stay behind. He usually just stayed at his mom's place, but that year he was asked to mind that house, the one his stepdad owned, the one out in that old rich subdivision west of Houston. Maybe the guy had a bunch of houses. He was big on real estate. I don't know. The guy had inherited this dog from one of his clients, somebody who moved out and didn't want to take the dog with them. I want to say it was an Australian Shepherd. Look, do you remember any of this? Andrew talked about it the weekend before. This poor dog, it had behavioural problems. Whined, barked, scratched at the door, pissed on the carpet. Didn't want to be inside, always wanted to be outside. Dad kept it in a kennel except when it rained, and Andrew was supposed to take care of the dog, plus a few other things like mow the lawn. All that kind of crap. But he didn't want to go. Dave got into that argument with him about how it was the perfect setup for a young bachelor. House all to yourself, party time, risky business, and Andrew kept saying it was too cold there for a party. Too cold. I distinctly remember that. And how he kept asking us to drive out and stay with him while he was house sitting. I don't think anyone went out there, did they? I never did. We didn't see him for 2 Saturdays in a row. Then Travis picked him up like usual, since he was back at his mom's place, and that's the one night I remember with Andrew the most. I bet it's the same with you. It was the most bizarre, frustrating night I had with the group. Andrew walked in quoting some commercial verbatim. I want to say it was like a Tide ad. Travis told us he was like that in the car all the way over. Commercials, shows, movies, radio songs. The first couple of hours gaming was like being in the room with the TV on. Then he started parroting us. He'd just copy something we said. You remember? Tell me you remember this. I can see it in my head so clearly. Oh, and what was his response to anyone's complaints? Okay. Drew, stop quoting Law and Order episodes. Please, give the Pontiac commercial a rest, dude. Dude, shut the fuck up and roll your dice. Okay. And then he'd launch into something else a few minutes later. It wasn't just that he would regurgitate that crap. It was that he could take it so far. Whole reams of dialogue that he'd somehow memorized from one throwaway TV episode. Lyrics to entire songs. It went from odd to funny to disturbing in the first hour. Look, I'm going to come out and say it. Whatever happened in those 10 days, it changed him. He wasn't the same person after that. We all know this. We never talked about it, at least not with me around. But fuck if we didn't know instantly the person who came back from that house was not Andrew. I wrote before that I hadn't thought about him since 1999, and that was a lie. You know the way your brain sometimes reminds you of things you hate to dig up, the ones that sour your stomach? I've thought about him a few times, actually. A few times about that night. Was that the start of his madness? Or whatever it was that drove him to shoot up a diner? Were we there to see when he first lost his grip? Jesus Christ, Eric, why the hell didn't we say anything? From Condry Mark, date Friday, September 10th, 2004, 11:38 a.m. Subject, the door is open. Eric, I woke up to the phone ringing this morning. Turned out to be the reporter from the Idaho Statesman. She finally called me back. Did I tell you I'd called to track down the source for the article? She didn't have any new developments on the story, but will continue to follow up with the police. I asked if she had any other details about the crime, stuff that didn't find its way into the article, and we sort of went over her notes, I guess. Most of it I already knew, but there was one piece of info that really caught my attention. She wrote in the article that Andrew was mumbling or muttering to himself when he entered the restaurant, but she didn't put in what he was saying. According to the witnesses, he kept repeating, "The door is open." Does that make any sense to you? The door is open. Write me back. Mark. I'm seeing some reports about gradual echo. If folks are happy for us to carry on, we will do, and if it builds up, we'll take a look at it. From Condry Mark, date Sunday, September 12th, 2004, 5:10 p.m. Subject, a plan. Eric, haven't heard from you, just writing to let you know I've had a day to put some distance between me and it, and I've made a decision. I'm going to drive down to Houston and see if I can find someone in Andrew's family. I once rode with Travis to pick Drew up. I think I know where his mom used to live. From there, I can maybe find his stepdad and the house. I've tried the Boise lead already. I called the cops, but I got more questions than answers. And now some Lieutenant Perez plans to call me back in case he needs more testimony from me, like I know anything. Apparently, Andrew was living alone in a rental up there, working at a Blockbuster. That's all I got from the cops. And Idaho. So I'm aiming for Houston. Even driving my own car and a cheapo motel, it's still going to cost me about $200 for the trip. Jenny's worried about me. She'd rather I stay and pretend the police will figure this out on their own. And I can't do that, Eric. I have to go down there. Here's why. I think Andrew was afraid of that house for a reason. Whatever that reason was, during those 10 nights, something emptied him. Gutted Andrew like a fish. It yanked out whatever he was inside or shocked him into forgetting it all away. It hollowed him out. To fill the void, he absorbed any input he could find. Television, radio, conversation, soaked it up and presented it as Andrew. He could walk and talk. He wasn't injured. Not physically. But he wasn't the same either. There's a gap I need to fill in my head, like the time in that house. I have these pieces of Andrew that don't match. I need something to match. Hell, I'll feel better if something will just make sense. I'm not going to ask you to fly down and join me, but I could use your help all the same. I have some questions you might be able to answer. Please call or send me a note if you know any of these. My phone is removed. Eric. What was the stepfather's name, first or last? What was his mom's name? Was her last name also Hughes? What was the name of the subdivision where stepdad's house was? I think Andrew mentioned it. Look, man, I hope I haven't freaked you out too much with my crazy talk. I know it probably comes off absurd. Or maybe not. You were there for some of this. Look, if you really think I'm off my noggin, tell me. By all means, tell me. Hope to hear from you soon. Mark. From Condry, Mark. Monday, September 13th, 2004, 8:22 a.m. Subject a plan. Eric, thanks again for calling. I got your email as well. It mentions a few things we didn't discuss over the phone, so I want to add a comment or two.
What I remember was what Travis told us, that time he went to pick up Drew and had to go up to his room to get him. This was the last time Drew gamed with us. Travis went upstairs to his room and the kid was pacing back and forth by his bed. Everything was all neat and tucked in, but the carpet was worn in a line where Drew was pacing, like it's all he did.
You're coming across as too quiet, apparently.
Oh, dang it, this is frustrating. Sorry, everybody. Give me a second here. Oh, gosh. No. There we go. The mics just don't want to play fair, do they? No.
You want to do that bit over?
Hang on a second. I gotta try something. Sorry, everybody. Oh, this is really pissing me off. Let me try again. Ah, see, there I am. Now I'm back. What happened? Oh, really frustrating. Sorry. I'm going to pick it up with my part again, okay?
Yeah, from what I remember was.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Thanks so much for your patience. Ugh. What I remember was what Travis told us, that time he went to pick up Drew and had to go up to his room to get him. This was the last time Drew gamed with us. Travis went upstairs to his room, and the kid was pacing back and forth by his bed. Everything was all neat and tucked in, but the carpet was worn in a line where Drew was pacing, like it's all he did.
Yeah, I remember that too. And the way Travis told the story, like he wanted it to sound funny, but he did not believe it was. And Dave laughed. He said, man, dude, that dude's a broken record. And we all agreed, nodding and chuckling. Fuck, we all just let it go. Like it was easier to write him off, but Travis was the last one to laugh. He'd seen that room with his own eyes.
Go, I really would, but Connie got sick last night and she's still throwing up this morning, and I don't feel right leaving your town like this.
Understandable, you stay there. I'll continue to email you on this thing. I can't really talk about Drew with Jenny. She never knew him. She doesn't get why this is so disturbing. And so did the horror that took place in Boise. That's why I keep writing you. Nobody else gets it. Hey, maybe I'll somehow find Travis or Dave while I'm in town. From Condry Mark. Date Tuesday, September 14th, 2004. 6:51 p.m. Subject: I made it. E. Made it to Houston. Drive was hell. Traffic and a persistent rattle in the trunk wore me down. The AC unit in my hotel room sounds like a submerged Cessna engine. It's going to be hard for me to sleep with it on and impossible to sleep with it off. Well, at least I have internet access and I'm able to check my email. Tomorrow is a long day. I will be prowling Braeswood and your old neighborhood to zero in on an apartment complex I went to once. Joy. Wish me luck. Mark. From Condry Mark. Date Wednesday, September 15th, 2004. 9:06 p.m. Subject: lots of stuff. Eric. Great news. I have a solid lead. The whole day felt like I was pulling a string from the sand, but it's pointed me in the right direction. These emails are becoming more of a journal for me to help me log my process. I hope you don't mind. It took me an hour of driving back and forth around the Guestnet and Braeswood area before I zeroed in on the right side street. The landmarks had changed. I was 90% sure I'd found the right apartment complex, but I was still grasping air. With no name for Drew's mom and no guarantee her loss was Hugh's, I went to the manager's office and I got lucky. Her name is Nancy Hughes, and she stopped paying the rent in September of 1999. Drew paid it for the rest of the lease term, which ended the following February. According to the note on the resident file, he paid in cash. Seems Mom moved out or just up and left one day. Poof. So Andrew was living alone in the apartment. How is he paying for rent with a minimum wage job? I showed the manager the article about Andy, and then I lied. I said I was a private investigator. I don't know why. Maybe to justify why I was having her dig up rental information from 5 years back. Anyway, she got off on it and kept rooting around in the Hughes file for me like a movie sidekick. And she found something. A third-party check. Covered rent for December of 98. Kurt Malone. I'm thinking this is stepdad. The manager photocopied the check for me, and 10 minutes later, I was calling the phone number printed with Kurt's address in the upper left-hand corner. No luck there. Disconnected. So I took another approach and called 411 for a local realtor. You can do a search for contact information for a specific realtor, and I remember hearing about this from a co-worker who sold his place in Greatwood. Malone was listed under a little Remax affiliate office in Katy. I got that number, called there, left a message. Evelyn, the owner, called me back and said Malone hadn't worked there in forever. He up and vanished, left her with all kinds of issues. She thinks he had financial problems and bailed for Mexico. I find it hard to swallow a theory told to me in a stage whisper, but maybe that's just her personality. Still, that's two people gone. Before, I thought maybe Mom had just moved in with stepdad. Now I don't know what the hell to think. The call went on for half an hour as I got to hear the HR nightmare Evelyn went through thanks to Kurt's disappearance, halting his benefits, freezing the 401k, surrendering documents to the police, and so on. And then I asked about the house, the one out in West Houston that he owned, and she got really quiet. It took me another 10 minutes to answer her questions about who I was. This time I was honest and upfront with her, and I guess it paid off. She believed me, or at least believed in my intentions, and she checked her records. I have an address, Eric. Kurt had his own home in Sugarland, but get this, he was renting a house from a client way out west near Pecan Grove Plantation. The paperwork was curious too, since he was supposed to be selling it, but the previous owners had signed off on it in multiple places, like it was no real conflict of interest. She didn't know what happened to the house after it was seized by the bank. I guess I'll find out tomorrow when I drive out there. I'm close, man. I'm real close.
Read the note.
Note. Mark was able to send text messages from his phone, but I frequently received them late, sometimes hours after he sent them, as is the case with these September 21st messages. Thursday, September 16th, 2004, 3:33 p.m. Where are you? Call me.
You want to take a second and have a drink?
Yeah. Significant tea. That was officially significant tea.
I think that was officially significant tea.
From Condry Mark. Date, Thursday, September 16th, 2004, 8:25 p.m. Subject, the house. Holy fuck. I tried calling you 5 times today, but I got your machine. I really need to talk. Call me as soon as you can. Where do I start? The house is still there. It's this generic one-story thing, bricks and siding. It must have been built at the same time as the other homes in the neighborhood, but it just looks older. The roof is scarred in places. The driveway hasn't held up like the others have. Cracks in the pavement, a plank missing from the side gate. I rang the doorbell and figured I'd just talk to the new owners. No one answered. I couldn't really hear if it worked or not. Blinds and curtains in the windows kept me from peering inside. There was a dusty pickup truck with a warped front fender parked in the driveway. A neighbour across the street saw me checking it out. He talked to me for a while as he watered his shrubs. He hasn't met the person who lives in the house now, or if anyone is living there, really. He remembered Kurt, but not by name, just as the guy who stayed there for a few months. The previous owners, Kurt's clients, didn't live there much longer. They had all sorts of problems with the house, electrical, heating and that sort of thing. They moved out, left most of their furniture behind, he said, packed into a big RV one day, and just drove off. He still remembered their names. John and Lucy Manson. From Condry Mark. Date, Saturday, September 18th, 2004, 7:59 a.m. Subject, re-update. Hey Eric, we're playing phone tag. When you called, I was already on the plane, and when I called back, I guess you were at the hospital again. I'm so sorry to hear about Connie. What is it? Any idea? Food poisoning? Something else? What are the doctors saying? I'm in Boise now. Yeah, I nabbed a ticket on short notice, got on standby. I left my car at the George Bush Airport in Houston. Jen freaked out when I told her, and she got very terse. Said I should do what will make me happy, and hung up. What will make me happy? Christ. I don't know a soul in Idaho. I haven't slept in 2 days. I'm charging everything to my visa, and I have no idea how I'm going to pay it off. My watch stopped working yesterday. I have this weird ringing in my right ear. Comes and goes, annoying as hell. I'll tell you what will make me happy. Closing my eyes and not seeing Andrew staring back at me.
What are you going to do once you get there? Do you plan on telling the police the Madsen connection? Do you think the Madsens left something in that house that drove Drew nuts? And he killed them for it years later? Seriously, this is fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. Right now, it's just a connection. They lived in the same house. The Madsens were there for 4.5 months. Drew was there for 10 days. I have no idea what it means. I'll email you when I figure something out.
Feel like I should pass this along to some people, like to get you some help out there, or bring in the feds or something. I don't know if anyone else has managed to make the connection you did, and it's an important one to the case. Can I forward your emails and contact info to someone?
I've been thinking about that because I was going to ask you to do that for me at first. But now I don't think I will get the kind of help I need. Let's face it, there are enough unexplainable pieces to this thing. I'm going to get 2 kinds of interest, nuts and skeptics. I wouldn't mind so much the skeptic, except I get this vision in my head of some guy calling Jenny, calling my parents, calling my boss at work, looking to paint the picture of a guy who's lost his mind after hearing that his dead friend went nuts. I really haven't been totally honest with Jenny or my supervisor at the office, because this is not something you can easily explain. I've been calling in sick to work. I told Jenny I had to go to Boise to attend a pseudo-wake. I don't want that to bite me in the ass while I'm looking into Andrew's past. Here's what you can do for me, though. You can hold on to this stuff as evidence or whatever. If something crazy happens and I'm in trouble, use this to explain the situation for me. Forward emails to my friends or family. Maybe if they read them, they'll understand what I'm going through. I know you didn't mean to inherit this job, man, and I'm sorry to make you do it, but I really appreciate the help. Mark. In Potato Land. From Condry Mark. Date, Monday, September 20th, 2004. 10:13 a.m. Subject, new lead. Update. I called the hospital, the one where Andy was taken back in August, and asked some pointed questions about where his body went. Who picked it up? Did a relative or friend arrive? The answer was no. But he was tagged with John and Lucy, and I kept demanding some sort of lead, so the intern gave me the names of the relatives who were called in to confirm the IDs of the Madsons, and to arrange for funeral home delivery. John's cousin lives out here. I'm about to head out and meet Greg Archer, the cousin, and his wife.
Should be fine.
We doing all right?
Yeah, people said the microphone had changed, but...
From Condry Mark. Date Monday. Oh, hold on. I missed a bit. Pardon me.
I'll write again from the hotel?
I'll write again from the hotel. M.
Yep, there we go.
From Condry Mark. Date Monday, September 20th, 2004. 10:40 p.m. Subject, The Archers. I'm back. That was weird. I met the Archers. I know what you said last time I called, how I need to stop lying because it'll make it harder on me later, but I wasn't about to tell them I'm a good friend of the guy who killed Greg's cousin. I said I knew the Madsons when they were in Houston. I had some burning questions about what happened to them, as I claimed they practically dropped off the map when they left town. I hadn't heard from them since. Greg did most of the talking. His wife Helen was pleasant in that stiff smile way, but she found ways to interrupt my chat with Greg and remind him of other things he needed to get done. The more she did it, the more I encouraged Greg to keep chatting. The Madsons, as he tells it, had a long future planned in Houston. John got a transfer to Schlumberger Oil and looked forward to settling down. And then things started to go wrong. Just little things that piled up. Their car kept getting flat tires. Lucy broke her ring finger, futzing with the dishwasher. There was some trouble with the mail. The phone got disconnected when they didn't pay the bill for 2 months. A bill they never got. That kind of thing. Finally, something happened. Greg doesn't know what. It was enough to get them to put the house on the market, though. That same week, John sold all his company stock, gutted his 401k, quit his job, and put everything into a big RV. He and Lucy drove off in their new motorhome and never looked back. They've been driving around the country the last 5 years. Nomadic. Lucy got pregnant in 2002, but miscarried. They still kept on the road. Greg thinks they would have just kept driving through Idaho if the RV hadn't broken down with an AC problem. Greg says John called him up out of the blue and asked if he and Lucy could stay over. Greg made the guest room upstairs, and he and Helen welcomed them in their house for a week. This was right before the shooting. Here's where it gets stranger. Greg took me to the guest room and pointed to some spots on the carpet, right in front of the closet door. Furniture footprints, like something had stood there. Greg says it was the dresser, the one against the opposite wall. They barricaded the closet door for the duration of their stay. It was the strangest thing. He also noticed they kept the bedroom light on around the clock and bundled up with the spare set of woolen blankets for the bed. Now, Greg never found the right way to ask a number of questions, and I think he felt a little better talking to me about it. I'm not his cousin, but I'm someone who listened to him and agreed it was bizarre. I left Greg and Helen's not feeling any better. I feel worse now, in fact. I ache the way you're sore right before you get really sick. I'm trying to put things together. I really am, and I have to go to the police now, don't I? I'll go first thing in the morning. I promise, Eric. From Condry, Mark, date Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 2:21 a.m. Subject, no subject. Hey, I just saw this thing on Discovery Channel, probably a rerun, I bet you can catch it sometime, all about natural predators and stuff. Wild things. Yeah, I'm not watching TV. I can't sleep. Anyway, they had this thing on the Venus flytrap talking about how it lures the curious insect to its lip and then these invisible hairs or something sense when one of the suckers lands on it. Wham! Swallows the bug. Just like that. Later on, it spits out the skeleton of the fly and waits for the next victim. Now, some types of fly traps emit this odour to entice more food, says the voice on the TV. And its fancy name for him is Dionaea muscipulae. So I wonder if that's all this is. This whole thing with the shooting and the anonymous article in Houston and the footprints on the carpet, it's all to get me into the Venus flytrap. Only the scent isn't sweet sap, it's guilt. It's guilt over all those times I was around Drew and didn't do anything, you know? And I'm flying all over the fucking country and my head is buzzing. I think I'm getting close to the truth, and really I'm just tickling some invisible hair, and the ground is about to fold up on me and swallow me down into that place where Nancy Hughes and Ken Malone went. I'm going to go take some sleeping pills. I hope Connie's doing better, man. I miss Jen. She has a way of making me feel like I'm at home just by being around her. I'm tired of motels. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm so sorry. From Condry, Mark, date Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 12:15 p.m. Subject, where Andrew stayed. Eric, bingo. I went to the police and asked to talk to Lieutenant Perez, and instead I got Detective Sokolov. He said he was working the Hughes case now. I'm more inclined to think he was just running interference for Perez in case I was a wacko. Anyway, I told him about the Madsen connection with Andrew to see if that would help, and he said they'd look into it, and then he started with the questions about me, and I looked for a way to cut the chat short, and police stations make me uncomfortable. The rest of the talk was pretty banal, but at the end of it, almost offhandedly, he asked if I wanted to sign for Andrew's personal effects, since they had copies of all the important stuff. I said sure, even though it made me feel like they'd already written off the case. Drew's been busy the last 4 years. He has driver's licenses for Kansas, Colorado, Arizona, California, and Idaho. Looks like he stayed at friends' homes because none of the addresses printed on the licenses have apartment numbers. His Idaho license is just 2 months old, and it has the address of the rental home where he stayed. I'm going to drop by this afternoon and see what happened to his things there. Maybe there's a clue to how he knew where to find the Madsens or why he shot them. Perez or somebody has done this already, I'm sure, but I'm not sure he looked very far. Wish me luck. Mark. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:14 p.m. Standing in front of house now. It's the same one, the Houston house, same marks on roof, same fence damage. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:22 p.m. Just talked to old man across street. He says house has been here for years, rented out as far back as he can remember. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:25 p.m. I rang the doorbell, no answer. It's exactly the same, Eric. I don't understand. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:29 p.m. Ears ringing again. I don't know what to do. How is it the same? Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:33 p.m. There's a way into the house here. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:33 p.m. There's a way into the house here. Where are you? Pick up the phone. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:38 p.m. I'm going inside. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:41 p.m. Inside the house, nobody is here. Air is cold. Metal smell. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:41 p.m. I found stairs. Going up. Didn't see second story from street. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:47 p.m. Did you call? Signal cuts off. 3 bars, then no bars. I'm looking for more of Drew's stuff here. Layout is really bizarre. Lots of rooms. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 4:49 p.m. Door attend of hall, made of metal. Checking other rooms instead. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 5:05 p.m. Call. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 5:09 p.m. Found something. Drew's backpack. Getting out of here now. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 5:11 p.m. I think someone's here. I just heard something. Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, 5:77 p.m. The door is open.
From Condry, Mark. Monday, September 27th, 2004, 1:18 p.m. Subject, for Thursday. Hello, Eric. This is Jennifer.
We can't, hon, they can't hear you.
Shoot. Hang on, give me a second. Try turning off the headset and then turning it back on. Test. All right. From Condry, Mark. Monday, September 27th, 2004, 1:18 p.m. Subject, for Thursday. Hello, Eric. This is Jennifer. I'm on Mark's PC now. I did like you suggested, and I've looked through his outbox, and I don't see any emails about this to anyone else. There aren't that many, really. He didn't tell me a lot of this stuff, Eric. Like how I'm reading the last thing he sent you back on the 13th. I didn't know he was so emotional. Why didn't he tell me about this? But anyway, like you said, he wrote to you from his laptop when he was in Houston and Boise, and the police up there said they found that in his hotel room, and they're taking their own sweet time and checking it for clues, so yeah, I'll keep asking for that to be sent down. Where else should I look? I don't know what else to do here except wait until you come down and look at it. He does have AIM, but I can't tell where the chat logs would be saved or if anything's on that. Please tell me what else I can do. You know more about what he was up to than anyone else, 'cause of this old friend the two of you had who went crazy, and now Mark is missing for almost a week. Please send me the other emails you sent you. Please? I want to know now. Jen. From x@x.x. Date, Friday, October 1st, 2004. No subject. Human arm and leg bones found on street. Scottsdale residents got a shock at the start of their morning commute when they found what seems to be human bones lying in the road on Sage Drive. Crime scene technicians arrived within half an hour and began to sweep the scene for more evidence that might help identify this human victim, or at least establish an approximate time of death. Police spokesman Daniel Swift said bone evidence alone usually isn't enough to determine identity or even cause of death. These remains didn't just appear in the road, they were moved here, Swift said. Therefore, we're asking any witnesses to contact the police with information that might pertain to what happened. No other evidence was found alongside Sage Street or in yards of neighboring homes. More on this story as it develops.
Whoever you are, whatever you are, fuck you. I may not know you, but I can tell what this is, and I'm not fooled. Your Venus flytrap game won't work. I'll make damn sure to warn Jenny and others too, so nice try. But no one is falling for your bait this time. It stops here. And so does the story. And this
Welcome back.
is why we couldn't show you Chungus beforehand. Wendy has absolutely excelled herself with this.
Check out the Audrey 2 costume for our yeasty boy.
Look at it. How
All right,
cool is
everybody.
that?
While Alasdair is showing you Chungus, let me explain for those of you in the chat who have no idea what's going on. Chungus is our internet famous sourdough starter. Chungus has a wardrobe to rival Elton John's at this point, thanks primarily to the efforts of Wendell's here in the chat, our fantastic Twitch mod, and several other folks. And Wendell's made a magnificent Audrey costume for Chungus for the Dionaea house. But as you can tell, it's a spoiler, so we couldn't show you.
So we couldn't show it to you beforehand.
Say again?
Yeah, so obviously we couldn't show it to you beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a hell of a story, isn't it?
Isn't it amazing?
Thanks for sticking with us through some of the technical difficulties. If we got some more stuff to work on, but hey, we'll shake it out.
The thing I love about that is that it is simultaneously the kind of story you can only do in the age of the internet, and also you can just draw a straight line all the way from it back to Horror of the Heights, the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle piece,
which is his other favorite horror story.
Which is my other all-time favorite. Which we did sometime last year. Beastrogen. Oh no, we know about the rest of it. We're talking about. We'll come to that. Don't worry. It's epistolary,
which is my favorite type of storytelling. I'm such a sucker for stories told through letters or, of course, emails and text messages. The original was it Dracula? That was the original.
I believe so. Yes.
It is epistological. I hope that's the right word.
Although
it's getting late, I'm not sure.
Although there's maybe a read on the earliest known ghost story by Pliny the Younger.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Epistolary.
Can we have Chungus back up on the screen again, please?
Of course we can have Chungus back up on the screen.
Fantastic. Hey there, yeasty boy. There he is.
Look at these grabby mouths. Look at them.
Don't worry. We always do a Twitter thread of stream show notes at the ends of these, which will have all the links, including a photo of Chungus' costume and where you can learn more about Chungus. Because he has his own profile page and portfolio. Because that's what you've done to us, chat. That's what you've done to us.
Yeah, his own profile page does also include his measurements.
And his pronouns. Let's be fair.
If you want to include, if you want to make something for him. Yes.
You can join the League of Yeasty Tailors.
Jordan, please also send us your Dracula tweet story. Because I would love to put that in the show notes for this. As Beastrogen has said in the chat, there is a lot more Dionaea House. There are
5 stories. This is the first. This is the first of 5. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think the 3 in the middle are shorter. They're all different perspectives. The 5th one, well, we're going to have the green screen up and running first for that one. But it's equally immersive, shall we say?
Yes.
They're all really good.
There is a 2-image visual gag.
Yes, Compost Witch, Jordan Shively is hottest single.
Yes, indeed. There is a
Dracula
2-image,
fuck bitch.
1-2 horror punch in the last one that is genuinely burnt on the inside of my eyeballs. It's one of those things that only horror can do, where when you see the puzzle slot into place, you just go, "Oh God,"
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's really good.
But no, I love that. I love that to tiny, tiny pieces, and I'm really excited. Hopefully, we will be able to get to do the other 4 for you.
Yeah, maybe we shake out the tech a little bit more, and then, yes, we would like to. Oh, I see Eldritch is on it here. So, we come now to the third segment of the
And
evening. But,
and the reason why we do this is for the exact same reason I can't watch the Mothman prophecies at nighttime. We're a firm believer in the concept of brain sorbet, which is when you've dealt with something horrible, you then have something nice instead to take the taste away. And in this case, that nice is shenanigans. This is our Alex approved, literally, we have the stamp, term for fan material, which is always silly, usually very funny, and occasionally kind of sweet.
we do have a little bit of a disclaimer that we got to go through first. Although this is a Rusty Quill stream,
yes, of course.
and although Alasdair is in fact the voice actor of Peter Lucas from the Magnus Archives, this is fan work. We are about to engage in shenaniganry, which involves fan-written stuff. None of this is canon. None of this is Rusty Quill blessed, although, we conned Alex into saying he approved, and we've never let him regret it since. So.
Nothing. He knew.
So, dude, take this with a grain of salt. We are fans just like you, and this is one of the ways that we express our love.
Exactly. So we have 2 things for you to round off tonight, and the first one is Beside the Foggy Elba by Freedom. This is from AO3. The link will be in the show notes. The summary reads, "A normal morning at the Lucas Bouchard mansion." And this is inspired by a comic on Twitter, Eldritch Cat Possum's drabble in reaction to it, as well as a Discord conversation or 2. There'll be, like I say, we will link to it, so all the notes will be available for you.
Yes, this is on AO3. Hello, have you met us?
Peter is already sitting at the polished table that is the centerpiece of their breakfast room when Elias enters. There is a cup of cooling coffee by his elbow, which is propping his head up over the paper, looking basically untouched. It makes Elias want to smile. His ex-husband has always preferred his drinks tepid. Peter is holding a pencil, doing the crossword, the only part of the paper he has ever cared for. He himself is cradling a gently steaming pot of his favourite tea, imported specially from China for him, possessively in his hands. He sets it down gently on the glass, then turns to a vitrine to get out the matching cup. The set was a gift from some beau from Germany, back when he still used his original body. It's beautiful, hand-painted porcelain, not to mention it holds sentimental value. He likes to get it out when Peter is around, just to remind him that he has always had other options. "Good morning, darling. Have you been up long?" He asks, as if he does not already know that Peter slipped out of bed before dawn, when the presence of another person, even in their large bed, became uncomfortable. He's been here for just over 2 hours now. The coffee is his second. Peter just grunts in return. He knows that Elias knows, and knows Elias delights in him knowing. This is a game they have played many times. Elias takes his time pouring his first cup of tea of the day, enjoying the smell, taking small sips and watching, always watching, Peter. His ex-husband is frowning at the paper, scratching his beard with the pencil, grinding his teeth. It's cute. He could watch him struggle for an eternity. Sometimes he gets hours when they both don't have anywhere to be, and Peter hasn't got antsy yet. But today, it is not to be. Peter sighs, glancing up at him for barely a second. "What's 4 across?" he grumbles, voice scratchy from disuse. Elias retorts, pretending he did not understand. He raises an eyebrow. Peter frowns at him. 4 across. I don't get it. What is it? He repeats gruffly. Elias chuckles, then takes another sip of his tea, holding his ex-husband's gaze teasingly. "So let me get this straight. You want me to use the Silent Watcher's terrible eldritch powers to look up
Crossword answers. So you don't have to figure out the clues. Am I understanding you correctly? Peter thinks for a second, and then nods, looking expectantly back down at the crossword. Elias sighs, long-suffering, sets down his tea. He leans back, closes his eyes for a moment, and when they open, he can see and understand everything he sets his mind to. He focuses on the paper. News stories, true and false, flash across his mind's eye. He dismisses them as unimportant. He zeroes in on the puzzle section, then the crossword, then question number 4, across. Cross-cultural internet joke. 4 letters. It's M-E-M-E, Peter, he answers dryly. Peter writes, then frowns down at it for a long moment. What the hell is a meme, Elias? That's not a word. Are you having me on? He demands indignantly. Elias blinks, his vision returning to normal. He takes another sip of his tea. A cross-cultural internet joke. As the clue said, God, Peter, do you even know how to use the internet? He asks, appraising his husband. He himself rarely deigns to, but the Watcher's powers mean that he has often caught his employees both talking about internet culture and partaking in it. He is quite knowledgeable on it, though it is one of the less useful topics at his disposal. There's jokes on the internet. I avoid it. Too many people can notice you on there. Are they funny, these memes? Peter questions further. He still doesn't believe Elias isn't having him on, not that he truly blames him. Peter is fun to mess with, but in this case he isn't sure how to explain without it making it sound like even more of a trick. They're quite generational, I think. Some of my employees love them, he tries. For example, Peter retorts, well, Miss Hussein is quite partial to this one where you just end any random sentence with the word gun. Tim enjoys screenshots from TV programs and such, where the characters are making funny faces in casual conversation. And Martin writes these poems, sometimes. Cowlick? It's some weird format, quite plebeian, if you ask me. Wait a second, what's a screenshot?
Oh, Cowlick.
Elias is hip to this internet thing because talking. I don't use a computer, I just use my godlike powers to look at other people using them.
I just look over Tim's shoulder all the time.
Oh, Martin writing Brad Lake is the best thing. It really is.
Martin,
I'm a Mimi.
and I think we have one other short one as well.
We do. This is from a Tumblr marked simply Stuff and reads, Supplemental. After finding numerous statements mentioning the founder of the Institute, Jonah Magnus, I tried to dig out more information about him. I thought asking Elias would be a good idea. Instead of telling me anything useful, he insisted on talking about how Jonah Magnus had a six-pack and how he, in his words, was shredded. I don't know what prompted this. Could he be trying to distract me from the investigation? Still, I will try to find more reputable sources next time. End supplemental. All I can see with
Poor
that one
John.
is John just trudging out of Elias's office, and Elias is standing on his chair, flexing, going, "Do you even lift, bro? Do you even lift?"
Oh my, that's an image. That is certainly an image, isn't it? And that was shenanigans.
Never skip leg day, John.
Never skip leg day.
Do you even lift, Alchemist? Good douche.
But you should be an achievist instead of an archivist. Anyway.
So that was our show, folks. That was Dionaea House, which is one of my favourite, well, the first part of Dionaea House, which is one of my favourite bits of horror. And Elias, Jonah does not actually lift, just picks bodies that come pre-shredded.
Jonah Magnus was a Chad. Gadoosh. Oh Wow, that's going to spawn a whole variety of TikToks now, isn't it? That'll be great.
Thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, obviously we have to give a massive thank you to all the donors who make this possible.
Thank you so much for your generosity, Jordan. That was amazing. Thank you.
I am Alasdair Stewart. I played Peter Lucas.
Oh, don't say past tense. You'll make me sad.
I voice Peter Lucas in various universes.
As far as I'm concerned, the TikTok universe is its own AU at this
Yes,
point, where
exactly.
Peter will live forever.
I voice Peter Lucas in various universes, and you're actually going to hear me on a couple of supplemental things for RQ quite soon now.
Thanks so much, Jay Hunter.
What is RQ? Well, Rusty Quill
According to these notes.
According to the notes, helpfully highlighted in front of me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rusty Quill is an entertainment company and podcast network focusing on audio drama, which, I don't know, I get the funny feeling that's going to turn out quite well for them.
I don't know. It sounds like something that would be distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution, non-commercial, share-alike 4.0 international license.
But how many weekly shows would they create? Would it be 3?
I think 3 is a good number.
Would it be the Magnus Archives, Argue Gaming, and Stellar Firma?
I think that sounds about right.
Now, you're probably wondering why we called you all here this evening.
No, that's my line.
Okay. You're probably wondering where and how you can support us, and there are really 4 ways.
Compost, which can you tell I am also a podcaster? We can all say it in our sleep. Don't worry about it.
I always imagine Cockney piano at the front of it, like Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives License. Da 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 da. Hey. Anyway.
We were talking about how these fine folks can support the amazing Rusty Quill.
Sorry, Mikey. We love you.
Yes, Mikey. We're getting there. We promise.
You can do that via direct donation. Full details will be on the website. You can subscribe on Twitch. You can subscribe via Patreon, or you can tell your friends. You know what? Tell your friends anyway.
You could probably do all of that. And
Yeah.
you can also join them on their amazing Discord server, which is very, very active and I can never keep up with.
The Discord server is pretty great. Next up, where you can find us.
Yes.
We will be back streaming at 10 a.m. on Sunday.
On Valentine's Day at 10 a.m. because we love you as well as each other.
Where we will be playing the Council. And by we, I mean Marguerite will be brutally pummeling the truth out of a wide variety of alternate universe historical figures. I think you'll find
it's polite dinner conversation, thank you very much. There's a little bit more nuance to it. We already committed mail fraud. I don't know where else we could go from here.
The only way is up from mail fraud. That's the
The only way from mail fraud is up.
Yes. Then on
that'll be Sunday at 10 a.m. It's a chill couple of hours. It's basically like this, only not on camera. We just taught a whole lot and play games.
Then on Wednesday at 10 p.m. we will be continuing our current serial, which is Marco and the Red Granny by Merle Lafferty, which is a fantastic story of ritualized gladiatorial combat and artistic patronage.
On the moon.
On the moon.
It's great. We also have a very special guest on Wednesday.
The magnificent Mr. Matt Wallace, one of our oldest friends, an amazingly talented author and podcaster
will be
in his own right. And he's just released an incredible new book, which is his middle grade debut called Bump.
Which I almost... We just received a physical copy of it, but I do not have it to hand or I would hold it up. But come along on Wednesday night. We're at EA Podcasts. 10 p.m. is when we'll welcome Matt. And then after that, will be Marco and the Red Granny and even more shenanigans.
It should also be pointed out that I am not the only RQ voice actor on this show.
Yeah, so, you know. Hey.
Unnamed.
Giving John crap and eating black beans.
Oh, yeah.
That's my cameo.
You can find me on Twitter at Alasdair Stewart.
Is this where I'm supposed to say where you can find me on Twitter?
Seamless.
Yeah! I'm at Legal Valkyrie. Alasdair is on TikTok where we commit many, many AU fan crimes.
And we'll shortly be over there tonight, I suspect.
Oh, yeah, we haven't done a talk for tonight yet, have we?
No.
Yeah, you'll see us on TikTok later.
Yeah. I have a weekly pop culture newsletter called The Full Lid.
An award-nominated...
an award-nominated weekly pop culture newsletter called The Full Lid. It's up for a British Fantasy Award, which, by the time we do the next But One Sunday stream, I think I will know whether or not I've won.
Yeah, they're announced on the 22nd of February, I think. It is also, for those of you who are in the genre community, Hugo nomination season, and The Full Lid is available under the Best Fanzine category.
And I'm eligible for Best Fan Writer
And we were involved in a project that's eligible for Best Related Work. It was
Yes.
called Con Zealand Fringe. And you can find out all about that at Alasdair's website, where he has his eligibility post.
Indeed, and I also have a Ko-fi, which will be in the show notes.
Yep.
And just to finish things off, you're probably wondering what will be
you doing?
happening next in
Almost
RQ Streams, and that will be Saturday at 4 p.m.
That's tomorrow.
When poor, innocent Mikhail LeBeau will be playing Alien Isolation at 4 p.m. And I wish him the best of luck.
And not at all screaming and hiding and throwing the controller like I did when I played that game once.
Because that thing's freaking terrifying,
It
man.
is. It's an absolutely terrifying game. But we love to watch Mikey be scared.
Yes. That's it. Thank
we
you
get
so
everything?
much for joining us, folks. This has
think
been
we
a
got
blast. We will talk about maybe doing some more Dionaea House for you.
Yeah, if you're interested, come and let us know. Because like we said, there's 4 more stories. Tech aside, this was a proof of concept. We'd really like to do some more stuff. Or if you have other requests for Alasdair or Alasdair and Marguerite, and, or maybe Alasdair and Mikey Rusty Quill content, please do let us know. We're quite open to suggestions.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, folks. We will see you next time.
Oh, just one more note before we go. The music that you heard at the top of the stream
Yes.
and the music that you're about to hear at the end of the stream is composed by Ryan Boyd. We will have links to both tracks in the stream show notes on SoundCloud, so you can go and say thank you to Ryan.
And please do.
And please do. I always listen to this piece of music when he's composing the stream notes because it's really good.
Yeah.
Good night.
See you later.